Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Wednesday Build. This is episode 1.50, and today we're going to be discussing the topic, the power of champions and gatekeepers, empowering key collaborations for expansion, featuring genuine relationships and intentions, plus win-win-win. My name is Brittany Hernandez, and I am a lawyer, a professional no-code, low-code developer, a legal tech educator, and the global ambassador to law schools for Gavel. So as I mentioned today, we're going to be really focusing on this idea of empowering champions and gatekeepers and really focusing on how we can engage people in the community in order to expand. So from the perspective of someone who is building a legal tech product or just a tech product in general, such as an application. So in this kind of episode, we're going to be really highlighting some companies that I think do this really well, which are Softer, Gavel, Clio, and SmartSuite. So I think that these companies in particular really do a good job of engaging champions and gatekeepers and partners. So when I was at this kind of no-code summit in Paris recently, one of the things that was really apparent is how much SmartSuite in particular really engaged their partners and empowered them by inviting them to come and do different panels and speeches and stuff during that conference. Softer as well, and these other kind of pieces you'll see as we go through each of these different tips, how we can kind of think about if we're starting a particular software company or a SaaS product or putting out a SaaS product into the world, how we might be able to expand by engaging partnerships and empowering our champions. And the gatekeeper is this idea of this is a gatekeeper to an audience, maybe of users. So championing influencers as well as partners and developers. So let's go through each of these ones in turn. So I have 7 tips for you today on how you can empower champions and gatekeepers in this kind of way of being able to expand your SaaS product. So the first one is certifications and badges and ways to differentiate themselves as an expert. So I think this is really important because it's something that I really notice a lot is that we need a way to show some level of skill in order to differentiate ourselves from anyone who can use no code. So especially in this kind of no code, low code space, it can be hard to say, well, no code's supposed to be easy for anyone, for the citizen developer. But actually, there's a lot of strategy and skill that is involved in creating, robust legal products when you're thinking about a long-term strategy of how can we put these pieces together in order to make sure that we're considering what trajectory we're trying to go in, what kind of things are we going to plan for in the future, what are we planning to have as far as maybe client portals or other features or what we need, and then also building it in a way that's really efficient. So I think one of the other pieces, especially for Gavel users and developers, is that we are having to think a lot about how the logic works and how to scale down a tool so that we can scale up an audience. So these are some different considerations that we have to think about, but we do need a way to kind of, as consultants, as no code, low code developers and people who are building products, using these SaaS tools, we need a way to show our potential users and customers who would be the people who are actually buying the tool and we're just building with it. We need a way to show that we have that level of skill. So some companies that do this well are, as I mentioned, Softer, Gavel, Clio, and SmartSuite. So with Softer, there is a way to apply to become an expert. And so they have some criteria and you have to submit a few things. So they have to submit 2 projects. You need to demonstrate that you're able to have different user groups and sign up or login, integrations, visibility. So they have these kinds, they're going to evaluate what you submit as your project, and they can't just be like basic static websites. They need to show and demonstrate a sophistication level. Responsive, so you should be able to respond to client requests and leads within 48 business hours. Integrations, because if they're putting you on their platform as a software expert, they want to know that you're going to be able to respond to the people who are asking for your services. Integrations, that you have worked with at least 3 of software integrations, like Make, Zapier, MailChimp, and so on. Communication, written and verbal communication skills in the language that you're fluent in, and 2 references. So you need to provide the email of 2 past clients or employers who they'll email and ask for a recommendation. So they really do a good job of being super clear about what the expectations are. And then they give you this application that makes it to where you're able to put in your hourly rate, minimum project costs, what industry you work in, and so on. So I think that this is a really good way of kind of showing that you are skilled in the use of software, and then you're able to be featured in their marketplace of experts. So I think that's a good example. And I've seen different experts who on their LinkedIn will have a little badge that or a little note in their kind of cover area that says software expert. And these are certified. So I think that makes a really big difference as well. The other one is Gavel. So Gavel has developed like a kind of automators and automation experts. And each of these also on their websites have badges that are basic silver or gold. So it kind of differentiates how expert they are, how skilled they are, and what their capabilities are as far as how much they go into the coding realm versus the no code space. So I think that that's really helpful to have the different levels to say this person can do all of these kind of really, really tricky types of builds, and then other people who maybe are more intermediate or more basic level, depending on what somebody needs. And obviously those might come with different levels. And in my case, in particular, I've created certification courses where, you know, I spoke with the Gavel CEO and was kind of pitching this idea of building more of a course around this and having some structure around how we distribute these different badges. And so we now have these, you know, basic silver, gold, and gold test out courses. So if somebody has you know, a lot of experience in Gavel and they don't need a lot of the instruction, but we want to test what their capabilities are, they can go through the gold test out course and exam and be able to demonstrate their skill, and that's manually reviewed. So what happens in that one is there's a 2-part multiple choice test, and then we go into a workflow build and a product overview. So in one video, they have to go through and locate all of the different areas and pieces and explain what each thing does. Then the second video, they have to walk through a workflow that they've built that engages some 6 criteria or categories that we say that they need to conclude. And then they have to answer some questions in their video as well. And the purpose of it being a video is it's such a visual medium, and we want to be able to see how they built something on the back end so that we can determine whether they used good variable strategies and so on. So this is a really good one because it allows people to differentiate themselves within not only just as somebody who's certified, but at different levels. So I think that's really important as well. Clio does a good job at this as far as certifications and badges and things like that, because they have a whole academy, and they also have something called the Clio Cloud, or what's it called? The Cloud Cafe. Yeah, Clio's Cloud Cafe. So in the Cloud Cafe, you also are able not only to get certified in Clio, but also like gain points, and you can learn about like product information, you know, product features and releases, marketing assets, things like that. So I think they do a good job as well. And then Smart Suite also has the ability to have you be a certified expert as well. And if you want to apply to become a partner, you can go through this process of applying. And so I think that all of these kind of have a really good process of becoming a partner. And I think that simplifying that process and making it as straightforward as possible is really important for expansion, empowerment, and growth. So I think these are some good examples. Second is having expert marketplaces. So as you can see, as I went through this, is each of these places have a way for someone to see who the experts are and to hire them. So this really helps to empower those consultants and partners because it allows them to get new leads, and you're still getting traffic to your site. You're getting your users to engage and get expert help with their builds, which will make it to where they're going to have a better experience. Same thing with Clio. So they also have kind of this higher find a consultant page. So you can search by category, you can search by region, by keyword, gold certified partner. So that's another one where it's differentiating kind of by level. So you can see that they have this badge, Clio Gold certified partner. So you can see how we can also take the first step to become an affiliate partner. So that's why I was saying that these are really good examples of how you can set up a partner program to make it really easy for people to find experts, to differentiate experts, and to support a community of people who want to make their living being consultants about your product and your SaaS product here. And so for this next one around expert marketplaces, I think you can see for Gavel as well, there's a page on how you can hire an automation developer, and each of these developers have to kind of go through a little bit of a process to put up their information. You can see like who's highlighted, why, and what they're specifically good at, and what they're, for example, they have tags like corporate law, lawyer, Spanish speaker, business law, estate planning, things like that. So I think that those are really helpful to see as well. Having some way to categorize and filter down to finding the right fit can be really helpful as well. As we saw with Clio, they had things like region and area of practice and stuff like that. The other one with Smart Suite and Clio, as you can see, all of these different ones have these marketplaces. So I think that's a really helpful one to empower these people who are really enthusiastic and so enthusiastic about your product that they've maybe in some cases, for example, Anja, I know Anja Sarah Lahady. So she is a lawyer out of Canada, and she's amazing and so cool. And she actually was working for a firm, and then she got so good at Gavel that she actually built so much stuff for that firm that she ended up quitting her job and becoming a consultant for her firm that she used to work at. So it's just interesting to see how we can become so good or so expert in this system that we can actually have it be our full-time career choice. So we really want to empower these people who have made that choice to champion your product in order to expand ourselves as well as help them expand for mutual benefit. And that comes in with that win-win, because you win as the company, they win as the consultant and partner, and the client wins because they have someone who knows what they're doing, building their tools for them. The other one is around portals and incentives, and this goes around to that Clio's Cloud Cafe. So this is really fun because, as I mentioned, you have like a really organized way for your partners to interact with your marketing assets, that they are licensed by you, non-exclusive licenses to use as well. So having one centralized portal in place for people to go to learn about your product more, to stay up to date about changes and product features and releases, product information, any types of updated courses and things like that. How to sell, that's really interesting as well, like even sales courses. This one's around that certification, marketing campaigns, ongoing education. So the person who's the partner has a way to really become engaged with the process, as well as the language that this particular company wants to promote in how they are marketed as to the public. So I think that is a really good example of this type of portal. And then the incentives part is also interesting because they do this thing where there's challenges. So for example, if you complete a challenge, then you get a certain number of points. So you can earn 105 points, and then you can use these points for whatever. But this idea that you also can see like who's on the leaderboard, where's my ranking, things like that. So it kind of is like a gamified partner program where Clio has really done a good job of saying, if finding that point where the partners have incentives to stay engaged with the process. I think that's quite interesting. So really thinking about partners as a true asset to the ecosystem of SaaS products, where you have the product and the team that's built that, the campaign, the marketing, and all that goes along with that, but also engaging these champions and gatekeepers and partners into that process by, you don't necessarily have to gamify it the way that Clio has in order to have people engaged, but you can see that they've really invested time, money, effort into creating a structure around their consultants, and people who win the most are the clients who hire those consultants, because those are very actively engaged, well-informed consultants who know the language of the SaaS company that they're consulting about. So I think that's a really good example of these kinds of portals and incentives. The other one is revenue sharing, making that easy. So I've had kind of mixed experiences with this, and the best experience I've had so far has been with companies that use PartnerStack. So PartnerStack allows you as the consultant or, influencer or whatever to centralize like all of the different revenue affiliate programs that you're part of. So for example, I'm part of like Notion, as well as Softer, and they both have PartnerStack programs. So it makes it to where any revenue I get from either of those sources, I can see and track the clicks on my links. I get my own unique link. It's very easy for me to go in and just see the status of each of these different pieces, see how much I've earned, transfer money into my account, and so on. And it also makes it to where people can, the SaaS tools and team can communicate with you about any updates, any marketing assets, and so on. So it's just like a really helpful place for people who are, having these types of affiliate and partnership programs to make it easy to pay and create links for your partners. So I've seen that to be really good. There's another one called Impact, I believe, which is used by, I want to say Canva and HubSpot. So let me just quickly, Thinkific as well. I think this one, let me just double check. Canva and HubSpot is Impact. Yeah, they use Impact, and I think Thinkific still uses PartnerStack. So all of these different ones, I'd say PartnerStack is really, really easy to use and has a really good interface. So I'd recommend, if you want to think about that you use this one. Their pricing for vendors, I think is well, to be fair, it's not quite clear where the pricing is here, but here we go here. So for all these things, looks like you have to do a call first, but I think there is like, some type of monthly fee that you need to pay in order to keep it. But I do think it's worth it because it does give you all of the infrastructure for managing partners, their links, their payouts, and everything. So that's a good one to think about. The other one is empowering partners around content. So I think someone who does this well, or a company that does this well, is SmartSuite. So one of the really big partnerships that they have is with Gareth Provost, who I've actually met in person in Paris at the No Code Summit, and we were friends kind of for several months before that. And he's amazing. What's really cool about him is that he is really good at consistent posting on YouTube and growing his audience and everything. So he was really, really, and still is, like a big Airtable consultant, but he was engaged by the team at SmartSuite, and they kind of made their case for how they differentiate themselves from other tools that are similar, including Airtable. And because Gareth is so good at analyzing these types of tools, and was able to find reasons to really help promote and back it, they have a really strong and good relationship from my understanding. And I got to meet the CEO of SmartSuite at the same conference, as well as his wife, who is super lovely. And so it was really cool to see like how the interactions are in person and how that relationship is formed really genuinely as well. Like these are really good people who are trying to make our lives easier in some way. And so to see us all trying to do that together is really encouraging and exciting. But to see that they've also kind of helped him with any supported him in any content, something that's because Gareth also does softer builds as well. So me as another consultant and builder and so on, I also follow all of the different newsletters. And so sometimes I'll see Gareth pop up in a webinar coming up or a video that he did appear in one of the newsletters. So I think that if you can help promote and share in your newsletters the content of these partners and consultants, everyone wins from, you having content for the newsletter that's actually valuable for your audience, as well as more exposure for the consultant, and encouraging them to continue to make this type of content to get further exposure. Number 6 is around feedback. So make it easy for your partners to give you feedback. So a good way of doing this, you can actually build a Note or Canny type of board using Softer, like a feedback board. So that's one thing you can do. Or you can use these kind of pre-built out ones that have all of these features already, which are things like Note and Canny, which I've spoken about before, but I'll quickly show what they are. So if you go to note.io, so this is a feedback board that has like some pricing around like a monthly pricing. So you have Essential, which is $29 a month, and then Pro, which is $69 a month, and then you can have Enterprise. And you can see all of these different options. But there's also one called Canny, which is a little bit more expensive, or a lot more expensive, but it looks like this. This is the SmartSuite one. And what this is essentially a way for users and partners to give feedback and for us to see a public roadmap of what's planned and in progress and under review from the company. And then people can also add comments and add new feature requests and see which things are getting upvoted, what's on the map, things like that. So I feel like this is a really collaborative and interesting way to get feedback from users in a very like public way, because it also encourages people to stick with a tool, even if it's not perfect right now, because it allows people to put their feature requests in this public place where other people who are using that tool who might also want that thing too can upvote it, so we can get on the roadmap maybe and prioritized over other things that maybe we don't care about as much, but was maybe thought of by the team as being very important. So I think that's quite an interesting way of doing it. Gavel has a wish list as well. So this is a really good one. So this is kind of a difference between what a Note board looks like and a Canny board. So this is a Note board where you have more of a simpler like user interface and design, where you can look at most voted, trending, newest, planned, in progress, completed, archived, merged. You can search for things, you can suggest something. This is a Canny board. You can see the roadmap, you can see feature requests, you can add something here, search, you can look for different categories, you can click into something and see the comments, you can add your own comment and so on. So each of these are good. I don't think there's the biggest difference between them is price. Canny is quite expensive. Let's just see. So for their pricing, yeah, so if you have like a growth plan, that's $359 a month, which I think is quite expensive compared to Note. But you also have starter and free. So these different options are also available to you. So like I said, you could also just create your own feedback board with Softer for free if you wanted to as well. The other one is a responsive customer service team. So one that really shines here is actually Gavel. So Gavel's customer support team always responds within 24 hours. They're super helpful. I think, even if you just use the help@gavel.io email, that's all you really need. But another thing that can be helpful is things like partner only spaces to ask questions so that, we can see what other questions are being asked. Slack spaces are really good for this, or Slack channels. And then in-app chat I think is really one of my most important features for some of these, is because it's, you have a question right now and you want to like just get it answered really quickly so you can keep building, because maybe you've only like put in, a certain amount of hours that you can work on this thing and your deadline is tomorrow. You don't really want to wait. You can just use the in-app chat function to create a support ticket and then, or get chatted with right away. Software is quite responsive, like within a few minutes. So I think that's a really big highlight. Smart Suite is also quite good here. I haven't tried this very much with Clio. Gavel doesn't, they have a chat feature on the website, but the help at gavel.io is so fast anyway, it doesn't really matter. So I think that as long as you have a very responsive customer support team and a receptive team to feedback, and having a way for feedback to be shared from users to the team, I think that's really important. Finally is around updates and community. So one company that does this well is Clio for the Power Half Hour. So every week they spend 30 minutes with their partners on Zoom, and they just go over recent updates, recent feature releases, any questions people have, they answer them, but they always show up at at the same time every week for this kind of Power Half Hour. It's also a cool way for partners to meet each other and to network, and to kind of build a community around other people who are interested in doing the same things. And another one that's good at this is Gavel, because they have a great Slack community where there's now, I think, over 900 legal professionals and no-code, low-code developers who are specialists in Gavel and automation, who are able to ask questions of each other. It also relieves the burden from the support team as well, because, for example, I love to answer people's questions, but I'm not necessarily a support team, by Gavel, like a Gavel employee, in the sense of I'm paid to do that thing or whatever. But maybe I'm doing it because I know the answer to that question, or other people who have come across that same thing. There's a lot of people who are very active, who are willing to help and relieve that burden from the team as well, especially if it's a question that gets asked over and over again, or it's a question that will take a little bit more time to answer. So I think that this is a really good one. Slack is obviously a great tool for this type of community and collaboration, as you can break things up into different things like questions, random, general, events, announcements, and whatever else. So that is kind of the overview I wanted to share with you for today. So I'll go ahead and wrap this up. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I'll give you my contact information in a minute, but I'm always open to kind of hearing any questions and feedback you have. For announcements from my side, this has been an episode of the Wednesday Build, which has new episodes live every Wednesday. I'll be traveling in the next week or so, but I'll still be on next Wednesday. We also have new issues of Code Word Hex out every Tuesday, along with the Tuesday Forecast, which is a free weekly newsletter. I also have courses, as you saw, in Gavel, which are certification at the basic, silver, and gold level. And then I also have courses in Software and Airtable, Go Full Page, and with more to come. We also do have a community called Command Global, and there is that active Slack group in the Gavel community. So if you want to join us there, you can for free as well. So thank you so much for those of you that are with me live, and for those of you that are watching the recording, hello. We're going to meet again, like I said, next Wednesday, December 20th at 10 a.m. Pacific time. We're going to be talking about the topic, making connections, lateral thinking, and community in legal tech. And then just feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn or via email at brittany@gavel.pro. And for any inquiries related to Gavel's Law School program, you can email me at brittany@gavel.io. So that's all for today, and I'll see you all next week. Bye, everyone.